Shout out to Frank Tolbert for sending me this story. And I know many of you have been wanting me to talk about this story, and I know it's coming kind of late, but with me doing my new upload schedule with 3 videos a day, I sometimes will tend to get backed up, and I want to upload the videos in the order that I receive them. So, everybody's story can get out there, because if I push everyone's stories around and everything like that, the more pushback they get, and then it gets pushed back further away from the relevance of the particular story. But trust me, I am reading and seeing your emails. But this story right here, a few of my subscribers, followers, however you want to call them or refer to them as, was informing me heavily about this story right here. It seems to me that Alabama as a state just can't catch a break. I mean, between that anti-abortion bill being signed into law by Kay Ivey, and now this story right here. And first, before I even get started, I would like to thank Grady Wilkes, who is this guy right here, because he has further proved a narrative or drove home a point that myself and people have been talking about for so long that mainstream media just seems to refuse to acknowledge and just tends to commonly overlook. And that is that white males in particular, no matter what the age, tend to have very violent tendencies in the establishment known as the United States of America. Unfortunately, we get painted as the boogeyman as black men. So what did Grady Wayne Wilkes do? Well, all he did was shot and killed a police officer and wounded 2 other people. But not only that, he's alive. Yes, he got taken into custody. Shocker, isn't it? I'm just being dramatic. We know that's not shocking, nor is it surprising. Now, if they said this was a black person, then yeah, we probably would be shocked and surprised. In more ways than one. But I'm not shocked, nor am I surprised that this happened. That 1, that he had violent tendencies. 2, that he shot and killed a cop. And 3, that he was taken in alive. We've seen countless videos over the years, whether I reported on them or they were brought to me and I never spoke on them, or if we just saw them in passing, where there have been white men in particular who have gotten in cops' faces, literally gotten into fist fights with cops, taken their guns, taken their tasers, or sometimes taking their nightsticks and beat them with it, and nothing happens to them. They want to follow protocol. But I would like to, like I said, I like to thank people like this Grady Wayne Wilkes, because you and many others have continued and will continue to prove our point when it comes to who's the most violent and dangerous person in America. I don't like Don Lemon at all, but he drove home that point when he said white men are the most dangerous people in society right now. That's probably the most honest thing I've ever heard him say. If I don't hear anything else honest from him out of his mouth ever again in life, I will give him credit for that, because he definitely hit the mark on that one. And it's still yet to be proven wrong. But they will paint black men in particular to be the ones who are the ones with violent tendencies. And they usually only do it. Let me be real here. The main reason why they do that is because they own the media, so they can spin the narrative however they want it when it comes to black men or black people in general. Then you got to think also the type of content that's put out there, such as film and television. What do they always have us portraying as? The thug, the gangster, the pimp, the hoe, the bitch, the whore, all of that, which can lead to having violent tendencies, and they go off of that. They probably watch Boys in the Hood one time and assume all black men are like every guy in that movie. They probably watch Menace to Society one time and assume we're all like that. But if they watch Scarface, oh, that's just Tony Montana. If they watch Goodfellas, oh, that's just the guys in that movie. Or Bronx Tale, that's just them. But if they watch a hood, what we call a hood flick or a hood classic, we are every type of person that's portrayed on screen in real life. Oh, and y'all should see some of the comments those fight videos online. Like when you see like kids fighting in school, them comment section, they call the kids apes and gorillas and put them in cages. We should have never. I've seen some that said we should have never taken them out of slavery. And listen, go and see and look at some of them comments under those videos. You don't even have to watch the video, just look at it and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the mindset many of them have. But they'll be the same exact ones that says we need to get over slavery, but they're the ones that are talking about we should have never taken them out of slavery. As if black people are the only ones who get into fights. And what's so sad is you'll have other black people that will literally push the narrative that that's how we are onto them so they can have ammunition and say, well, it didn't come from me, it came from this black person over here. I'm sorry I had to go on a little tangent right here. I haven't even gotten into the damn story yet really in its entirety, but let me go ahead and do that right now. A man suspected of fatally shooting one police officer and wounding 2 others at an Alabama trailer park was captured Monday after an overnight manhunt. Grady Wayne Wilkes, age 29, is charged with capital murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and domestic violence. He was clad in camouflage and body armor when he allegedly shot the officers who were responding to reports of a domestic disturbance Sunday night at the Arrowhead Trailer Park in Auburn, according to police. Now I want y'all to look at this image right here. This is the image of him now. The one that I showed you was an old mugshot, so that shows right there he most likely has a criminal history. This is the one that was put up when he was captured. Look at his face. All he got was a few bruises and a black eye. Our black ass would have had bullet holes. Have us out there looking like burnt Swiss cheese. This is that white privilege working. It's witchcraft. It's voodoo, whatever you want to call it. That's what it's working. Because white people tend to think that white privilege isn't a thing and that it's just a figment of our imagination. Dozens of officials have from various law enforcement agencies launched a search for Wilkes, whom Auburn Police Department Chief Paul Register had described as armed and definitely considered dangerous. Citizens reporting suspicious activity helped authorities locate Wilkes at about 7 a.m. Monday, Register said, adding that the arrest was relatively uneventful and that no one was injured. The officer who was killed, William Buchner, was a 13-year veteran of the Auburn Police Department. Register described him as dedicated. The 2 officers who were injured are expected to survive. Webb Sistrunk, an 8-year veteran, was still hospitalized in satisfactory condition Monday, while Evan Elliott, who has been with the department since 2018, was treated and released. This is not the kind of thing that we are used to have happen here. That's how you know a white person had to have done this, even if we didn't know who he was, just on that statement alone. Because I can't tell you how many times over the years when I was younger and I used to watch the news and I used to always hear white people on the news say this kind of stuff doesn't happen here. They were the only group of people that say that. If they interview anyone else from any other community, especially our community, we would never say that because it would become some, I guess you could say, commonplace. But them, they always say we're not used to that happening here. It probably happens there more often than they would like to believe, but they would tend to want to sweep it under the rug and hope that no reporter comes and asks them any question. I'm not aware of us losing an officer on duty in the time I've been here in 31 years. This will be difficult for us, he said. Officials said they would pursue the death penalty for Wilkes. Now that's interesting. That's the only interesting thing part of this article. But they said they're seeking the death penalty don't mean he's actually going to get it. In social media posts and pictures, Wilkes identified as an Army veteran assigned to an airborne infantry unit and shared pro-Trump posts and memes. In Alabama, neither of those things listed, especially that pro-Trump part, is even remotely surprising. Other posts suggest that Wilkes held a far-right political ideology, anti-Muslim views, and an affinity for 4chan. There goes that word, 4chan. The same site that they managed to put me, if y'all remember, put me on a couple months ago, and then I sent my subscribers over there and get in that ass. An online image board known as a haven for internet trolls and racist extremist content. Register said Wilkes was being cooperative and wasn't known to police until Sunday. He said Wilkes lived and worked in the area and had served in the military. I wonder if that's what they took into consideration as to why they took him in. He was a military vet. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Him being white also played a part in it as well. The person who initially called police about the domestic disturbance was not injured and was able to escape the situation. I have a question for all you Blue Lives Matter people out there. Are y'all gonna say anything about this? Let me be real here. They're not gonna say it for a couple of reasons. One major reason is because he's white. While they want to get on Cole so bad, they're not going to. Because this guy also had anti-Muslim views, and he was a pro-Trump supporter. Those things right there line up heavily with a lot of people who are part of that Blue Lives Matter crowd. And I've noticed one thing too, especially with me working at an airport. They just had something called Police Week, which is basically when the cops come, like police from various departments around the establishment come there and they help out at the airport for a whole week. Everyone who had a Blue Lives Matter shirt or any type of paraphernalia, whether it was a bag or a hat or something stitched onto them, every last one of them were white, and almost 90% of them were men. What does that tell you? Like when I was like doing what I had to do when I was there, I just like looked at that patch or looked at that symbol and looked back at them with disdain. They probably was like, why is this guy looking at me like that? I'm like, if you could read minds, trust and believe you wouldn't want to be anywhere near me right about now if you could read my thoughts. But I wonder also, are they going to call this white on white crime? Well, the answer to that is a quick no. Because if they weren't even going to take this man out for what he did, even though he did kill a cop and almost killed 2 other cops, and they didn't kill him, then I know they're not going to say white on white crime. And every time there is a cop shooting or a cop killing, for the most part, a good chunk or a good majority of them are always, and I will stress this till I'm blue in the face, always white men. They should pull up a stats chart just on that alone. They really should. It would be amazing to see how all of that would just lay itself out. But we know that they won't. After all, they have to inflate or put pressure onto the murder column for the FBI crime stats that black people are the ones that commit the most murders. And the only reason we fall into that category is because we're the ones that get the most convicted. Now, if you have convictions for them white men or white people in general who commit murders, that whole chart would completely flip on its head. And then you'll have them coming back saying, well, the chart would read like that because of the majority establishment. Yep. And y'all fall into the majority of every goddamn thing else too. It's amazing how they fall into the majority category of everything else on that FBI crime stat but that chart. And that's why they keep going with that propaganda that with 13% of the population committing all this damn crime, when that's definitely not the case. And then they'll pull every other stat out of their ass, and that's not the case either. But I know what is happening right now in the state of Alabama. Y'all better not be getting no abortions down there, or that's your ass, Mr. Postman. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this story down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next one.